we've been having a series of bad governance since 1999. And for a change, we need to look at situations, conditions that will give us good governance. If we go on this rotation of zone by zone presidency, that will in fact increase the rate of bad governance. Because it will be an admission that the president is supposed to take care of his own zone. And every zone must therefore have its turn. And that is a wrong phenomenon.
He asked that Nigeria should be more concerned about the performance of such individuals and not where they are from. Speaking further, the former lawmaker says Nigerians should clamor for good governance regardless of the region the president emanates from. He asked for a change. Nigerians must look out for what will be in the best interest for all.
To retain a two-term presidency of 4 years, the two-term presidency of 4 years is not our problem. If a president is performing very well, I think no matter where he comes from, a performing president is serving the interests of the country. We should return him for a second time. But if he's not performing very well, we shouldn't return him for a second time. We should deny him a second time. It is because our votes don't count. If our votes count and we're voting according to how a president performs, a second time should not be automatic. People assume that because there's a second term, a president will automatically spend 8 years. It should not be so. We shouldn't assume so. We should be on guard, keep the president on his toes, monitor his performance, ensure he performs well. It should work. It should really work to end that second term. It should work. If he doesn't perform well to end the second term, it should be denied the second term. And it should, after his first term, it should be asked to go. So it is when we have a reward for good performance that we can have good performance.
Nigerians will watch with bated breath if the Conscience Amendment will scale through. From Abeokuta, the state capital, John Felix reporting for Galaxy Television News.
The Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria, ARCON, has reiterated its resolve to infuse professional knowledge into marketing education in the Nigeria tertiary institutions. This was said at the 2.0 edition of ARCON Colloquium held in Lagos, Nigeria. Galaxy News correspondent Levi Joseph was there. Infusing practical professional training into marketing education is said to be the way to go to ensure Nigeria is not left behind in the emerging technologies in marketing communication. Discussant at the second edition of ARCON Colloquium said engagement of marketing and communication students by professionals is a better way to harness emerging technologies for sustainable advertising education and professional excellence in Nigeria.
I want to say again, and I want to reiterate, one of our mandates is to ensure quality advertising education. We will reach out to the association as a bunch. If possible, agree what we need to do in each geopolitical zone. One, any institution that feels that we need to have a conversation with their students and their lecturers, we are offering this as part of our own council support to ensure we improve the quality of education.
Formerly, there used to be that accusation. You people in the classroom, you are not teaching what is relevant for the industry. We from the classroom, we accuse them. You people from the industry, you don't give opportunities for our students to train. In the past, when we sent many of our students to them, they will not give them opportunity to learn the real act of advertising production. They send them on errands, they give them office job, whereas they have to be exposed to professional practices. Now, this gap is being gradually reduced.
Speaking at the colloquium, the chairman, Independent Broadcasters Association of Nigeria, IBAN, Alhaji Tijani Ramlan, and Kenny Ogungbe, who represented Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria, BON, charged ARCON to look into how to modify relationship with broadcast stations and marketing companies in the area of advert sharing and prompt payment.
Current advertising practice creates a financial strain on broadcasters, hindering investment in quality programming. We propose this colloquium should consider, among others, 1. Addressing delayed payments from advertising agencies. 2. Reviewing the commission structure. 3, equal treatment. Ensuring equal treatment to serious indigenous content broadcasters by all classes of advertisers.
Through education, to be able to sustain advertising industry. Broadcasters, like my humble self and doctor, we play the adverts. The advertisers, they organize, they produce, they send it to us, media purchase order, and of course, we send out the bills, payments being made. All those things are being organized by students like you now.
6 universities across the 3 geopolitical zones of the country participate in the Pitch Contest segment of the colloquium, and every one of the schools, including University of Lagos, presented exhilarating concept for public awareness on the need to shun drug abuse.
It's a very good program. It's an exciting one because it's one that should be really supported and funded by the government and by other organizations. Why? Because there has always been this gap between the industry and the academia. So this kind of event is to bring the town and gown together, to bring them together, to open opportunities for the students, and to also allow the students to bring in their theoretical knowledge, to come and practicalize it here in front of the industry giants, and also a way of networking for the students.
Benue State government is set to domesticate the national policy on internally displaced persons, IDPs, geared towards the well-being of vulnerable populations and achieving durable solutions in Nigeria. The Executive Secretary of Benue State Emergency Management Agency, James Uropu, commended the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development for including Benue State in the national policy on IDPs. Applauding the federal government for the initiative, it says the agency currently caters for 14 IDP camps with the provision of borehole water, shelters, healthcare services and constant provision of food and non-food items, including providing for Cameroonian refugees. Governor Hyacinthe Elia of Benue, who was represented by the Executive Secretary of the State Emergency Management Agency, James Uropu, who announced this, said Benue will become the first in north-central Nigeria to domesticate the policy, while attributing it to the proactive approach which aligns with the United Nations. Amnesty International has described the violent attacks, killings and the displacement of farming communities in Benue State as worrisome, calling on the Nigerian government to carry out discreet investigation into the incidences and ensure the protection of lives. The program's manager, who calls for an end to the incident attacks, says 55 schools have been destroyed by armed attackers, with hundreds of children out of schools, while 80% of the farming population in Agatu, Gwer West, Guma, among others, are displaced, with no access to farmlands and livelihood. Amnesty International, while listing a number of areas attack has been taken place, calling for partial investigation into the wanton killings, most of whom are women and children, and says Nigerian government must ensure justice for victims, survivors and their families.
Between January 2003 to February 2024, over 50 rural communities in Benue State recorded at least 135 attacks, leading to the deaths of over 2,600 people, many of whom are women and children. These attacks are significantly affecting food security and livelihood because the affected communities are farmers. As of March 2023, when the last counting and documentation was done, the IDP camps and the host communities had a total of 489,245 IDPs.
I want to assure the good people of Benue State that the Nigerian Police Force, under the leadership of the Commissioner of Police, we are working around the clock assiduously with other security agencies, to ensure that crime and criminality in the state is brought to the barest minimum. As I'm talking to you right now, the state has been sectorized and the operations are ongoing.
The National Assembly has been advised to initiate inquiry into the operations of the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation Limited in order to reposition the company for better performance. The apex umbrella body for the over 107 ethnic nationalities youth leaders in Nigeria also emphasized the need for the country to get all its local refineries in good shape and working. Its stand is coming amid outcry by Divokumar Edwin, the Vice President Oil and Gas at Dangote Industries Limited. The international oil companies and OIC are frustrating the Dangote refineries from kickstarting supply by selling crude oil at higher prices. President General of the group, Comrade Terry Ubey, disclosed this in Abuja at a press briefing, describing the situation as unacceptable and accused the Kyari-led NNPCL of sabotaging the smooth takeoff of both the government-owned refinery and the Dangote Group-owned refinery. The body maintained that one local petroleum production refineries are working at full capacity and local crude oil supplied directly to the aforementioned refineries, either privately or government-owned, the suffering of the masses will be alleviated.
If you can follow the media, which you are part of you will realize that even as we are talking, we are not meeting up with quota. We are not meeting up with quota. We've gone far through our committee on information to realize there are sabotage, not just as we formally accused the Navy on the high sea, conniving with IOCs. There's a sabotage from the NNPC with the IOCs to sabotage the economy.
You're still on to Galaxy Primetime News. We'll quickly take a break, and when we return, the news continues. Just stay with us. We're glad to have you back. Now to carry the rest of the stories. The Ekiti State Police Command has arrested the killers of the point-of-sales agent at the teaching hospital area of Ado Ekiti last week. Parading the suspect at the headquarters of the command in Ado, the Force Public Relations Officer ASP Sunday Abutu said the killers were also responsible for the other killings in the state last week. Abutu said a member of the killer squad, Salaudeen Lukman, who is a member of Aye Confraternity, confessed to having shot and killed the Okada ticketing officer at Okesha, the POS agent, and the rice hawker at the market. Abutu also reeled out other breakthroughs of the command to include the arrest of car snatchers, armed robberies suspect, and a jailbreaker. They said the exhibit 2 AK-47 rifles, 2 locally made Beretta pistols, among others.
Is a case of conspiracy, armed robbery, cultism, and murder. As a result of the fracas among rival cult group members, especially the Supreme Aye Confraternity and the Black Ass Aye Confraternity in Ado Ekiti, that led to serious unrest, as well as killing and robbing of innocent citizens, suspected to have been perpetrated by some members of the Sacred Cult group. The command activated a full-scale manhunt to arrest the perpetrators, bring them to justice, and restore peaceful atmosphere.
House is 5.
POS, how many?
POS, now. Animal. Okay. Animal.
When I talk before we come out here.
Na 3.
Huh?
3.
POS 3.
Yes, sir.
You don't reduce from 5 to 3. Okay.
House is
5.
Yes, sir.
Why you don't tell him say 5?
Yo,
POS now 3.
3, sir.
Bauchi State Police Command has confirmed the death of 2 individuals in the state. This was made in a press release signed and issued by the State Command Police Public Relations Officer Ahmed Wakil. Wakil, who issued the release on Thursday today, said the police received a distress call from Guamaji that a group of hunters led by Commander Seidu Musa, 49 years old, armed with machetes and guns, were at the area to apprehend an unidentified person following a complaint by one Ibrahim Lado, a resident of Hajia Amina Lodge, Gwajemeji, and the residents mistook them for armed robbers and responded forcefully, overpowering and injuring them. In the same vein, the command said that on Tuesday, June 2nd, during a refusal attack by a rival group of hoodlums known as Yan Takar in the metropolis, one Rabiu Shehu was killed. He was attacked and stabbed in the stomach and neck by an unknown person suspected to be a member of the rival group in the Bakinkura area. Delta State Governor Sheriff Obuvori has advocated for an effective management of the Federation accounts for sustainable development in Nigeria. The governor gave the charge at the 3-day retreat for members of the Federation Account Allocation Committee post-mortem subcommittee held in Asaba, the state capital. Correspondent Dele Fason has more.
Gathered at the Unity Hall Auditorium Government House in Asaba were members of the FAC committee as well as the State Executive Council members with the theme of the retreat, Efficient Management of Federation Accounts. Speaking to newsmen after the first section, Governor Sheriff Oborowori, who was represented by the Secretary to the State Government, Dr. Kingsley Emo, harps on the need for transparency in revenue allocation.
It's obvious that you must follow those parameters in the distribution process, in the collation process. This union, the RAMFAC, and then the Pro-Tem Committee, Subcommittee on FAC, does ensure that there's transparency and equity, since all our revenues are consolidated and centered. States do agitate, especially for Niger Delta oil producing areas, where 13% derivation is critical. Technically, 70%, 80% of most of our revenues are put center to center. So it becomes very imperative that we track them. Definitely. So if you listen to the what was cross-cutting in all the presentations made today, is transparency and equity. So we'll continue as a state to promote and support.
On their part, Delta Finance Commissioner said the retreat creates room for lobbying for improved revenue, as the Chairman, Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Financial Commission spoke on the need for efficient revenue allocation in Nigeria.
The coming of the Postmodern Committee to me, as Commissioner for Finance in Delta State, is very gladdening to my heart, because I know that, as usual, lobbying takes place, and therefore we will lobby. We will try to ensure that we will recover some funds that are still outstanding to the benefit of Delta State. We will also ensure that we also lobby and see how best we can improve on the general indices that is accruable in terms of resources to Delta State.
Enlighten ourselves more on what we are supposed to do, or what we have been doing at FAC. Sharing of the Federation money monthly basis. That's why we are here for a retreat to discuss and see how we can do better than what we have been doing.
From Asaba in Delta State, Dele Fason reporting for Galaxy News.
Stakeholders in the agricultural sector have stressed the need for addressing challenges preventing women from engaging in full-scale farming. Country Director of Oxfam, John McKenna, made the advocacy at the one-day Female Hero Food Policy Dialogue held in Abuja on Friday. McKenna stated that women farmers have most of the challenges because they are being sidelined in all aspects due to their gender. He recommended provision of a more conducive environment that is much better for women in farming to enable them produce more. McKenna, however, urged National Assembly to sign a policy that will assist female farmers for their goods to have proper access to market, calling for a specific day to celebrate women in the country due to their contribution on agricultural development.
And we start small and grow. It could be a few states. Can we set aside a day when we could be commemorating our women farmers, the women farmers that are feeding the nation? I'm sure that should not be a big deal. I mean, yes, we have set aside 8th March as the International Women's Day, but can we not set up a day specifically to address and give space and recognition to our female food heroes?
The women have most of the challenges. You know, they are actually facing a lot of challenges because they are somehow shortchanged. They feel because they are women, they cannot actually stand on their own. But no, that is not the truth. The truth is that women have been doing a lot and contributing to this development of agriculture, not only in Nigeria, but in the world all over. And we give you kudos for that. The second challenge again is the issue of accessing land for farming is very, very difficult.
The coroner's court sitting in Ikorodu area of Lagos State has granted the family permission to conduct an independent autopsy and toxicology test on the late singer Ilerioluwa Aloba, also known as Mohbad. The family had applied for an independent autopsy, citing suspicious circumstances surrounding the death of the deceased. The court's decision comes after the previous autopsy conducted by the Lagos State government was declared inconclusive. The Aloba family's legal team had rejected the result and pushed for an independent post-mortem. The coroner's court, chaired by T.A. Shonubi, who gave the order, however, said that all the legal expenses and the conduct and process for the toxicology test will be borne by the Aloba family. The application was brought because the late Ilerioluwa Aloba died in suspicious circumstances on the 12th day of September 2023, and the applicant and his family are desirous of getting an independent autopsy and toxicology test to be done as a second opinion of the prospective autopsy report of the death of late Ilerioluwa Promise Aloba Mohbad. And now we'll move over to the foreign desk for more news. Hello and welcome to Foreign News. A roof at Delhi airport has collapsed after heavy rain, killing one person and injuring 4 others. Videos show huge pillars supporting the roof smashing into a car parked along the airport Terminal 1. All flights from the terminal have been temporarily suspended and check-in counters have been closed. The incident took place at 5:00 GMT, authorities said. Rescue operations are on the way at the airport and the injured are being treated in the hospitals. India's aviation regulator has advised airlines to accommodate passengers on alternate flights or offer them refunds. The accident has impacted travel plans of thousands as most domestic flights took off from Terminal 1. Some airlines have shifted flight operations to the remaining 2 terminals at the airport. Federal Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu Kinjarapu has announced a compensation of 2 million rupees to the family of the deceased and 300,000 rupees for the injured. He also told reporters that the situation was under control and that inspection was underway to prevent any further incident. He added that airports with added structures across the country would also be inspected. The incident was criticized on social media, with many users pointing out that the terminal had undergone a massive renovation at the cost of billions of rupees and had been inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in March, a month before the recent general election began. Kenya's High Court has approved the use of military force to restore order following days of anti-tax protests that at some point overwhelmed police. More than 20 people have reportedly been killed in the nationwide protests that are largely led by young people opposed to government's plans to increase taxes. Armored military vehicles patrolled streets in the capital, Nairobi, as police fired tear gas to disperse protesters who had threatened to storm the presidential palace. A judge said that the military deployment was critical to protect government installations, but gave the authorities 2 days to clarify how long the deployment will last, along with its rules of engagement. To deploy the military in a blanket manner without defining the scope of operation and the duration of the operation is a dangerous trend that can bring about militarization of the country, ruled Justice Lawrence Mugambi. The Law Society of Kenya, which had petitioned the courts to order the army back to the barracks, said it respects but disagrees with the ruling. President William Ruto on Wednesday bowed to pressure and said he would withdraw the finance bill containing the unpopular tax proposals, a day after Parliament was briefly stormed and set ablaze by angry protesters. Pakistan's Defense Minister Khwaja Asif has warned that the country will not hesitate to launch attacks on the territory of Afghanistan, its neighbor, amid rising tensions between the two over security concerns. When asked whether Pakistan would consider cross-border attacks to control perpetrators, the Asif replied that if the need arises, there is nothing more important than Pakistan's sovereignty. Addressing the legality of potential cross-border attacks, Asif argued that Pakistan must prioritize its own interest. It's also a violation of international norms when Afghan soil is used to export terrorism, with those responsible receiving protection and safe havens by the people there, he added. He also rejected the prospect of any dialogue with the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, also known as the Pakistan Taliban, an armed group accused by Pakistan of launching attacks from across the border. There is no chance of a dialogue with them. Founded in 2007 and aligned ideologically with the Afghan Taliban, the TTP is an armed group advocating for the reversal of the merger of Pakistan's northwestern tribal regions with Khyber province and stricter enforcement of the interpretation of Islamic laws in the region. Pakistan has repeatedly accused armed groups of launching attacks from Afghanistan, where it says the ruling Afghan Taliban in power since August 2021 provides them with a safe haven. The Taliban denies these allegations. And still in foreign news, a defunct Russian satellite broke up into nearly 200 pieces of debris, forcing astronauts on the International Space Station to take shelter for about an hour. NASA, the United States Space Agency, had been informed that the Rusa P-1 Russian Earth observation satellite had split on Wednesday, instructing the 6 American crew on the space station to shelter in their respective spacecraft as a standard precautionary measure. Mission Control continued to monitor the path of the debris, and after about an hour, the crew was cleared to exit their spacecraft and the station resumed normal operations. U.S. Space Command, which coordinates space-related operations for all branches of the armed forces, initially tracked over 100 pieces of trackable debris from the satellite, declared dead by Russia in 2022, reporting that the incident presented no immediate threat. By Thursday afternoon, U.S. space tracking firm Leo Labs reported that its radars had detected at least 180 pieces. Due to the low orbit of this debris cloud, it was estimated it will be weeks to months before the hazard passed. Iranians are voting for a new president following the death of Ibris Racer in a helicopter crash chosen from a tightly controlled group of 4 candidates loyal to the supreme leader at a time of growing public frustration. Polls open at 8 a.m. on Friday and are scheduled to close at 6 p.m., but the voting time can be extended until midnight. The snap election coincides with escalating regional tensions due to the current war between Israel and Iranian ally, Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon. Iran's first direct attack against Israel in April, as well as increased Western pressure on Iran over its nuclear program, while the election is unlikely to bring a major shift in the Islamic Republic policies. Its outcome could influence the succession to Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Iran's 85-year-old supreme leader, in power since 1989. A council made up of 6 scholars and 6 jurists aligned with Khamenei vet candidates. It approved just 6 from an initial pool of 80. 2 contenders subsequently dropped out. Prominent among the remaining hardliners are Mohammed Ghalibaf, Parliament Speaker and former commander of the Air Force of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and Saeed Jalili, a former nuclear negotiator who served for 4 years in Khamenei's office. The so-comparative centrist Masoud Pezeshkian is faithful to Iran's theocratic rule but advocates identity with the West, economic reform, social liberalization and political pluralism. And finally, on foreign news, polls have opened in Mongolia, where the ruling Mongolian People's Party (MPP) is widely expected to secure victory despite deepening public anger over corruption and the state of the economy. Voters across the vast nation sandwiched between China and Russia are choosing 126 members for an expanded state Great Khural, the country's parliament. Preliminary results are expected within a few hours as a result of automated vote counting. The MPP under Prime Minister Luis Vasmarin Ongyen won a landslide victory in the last elections in 2020. But there is growing frustration over endemic corruption, the high cost of living, and the lack of opportunities for young people who make up almost 2/3 of the population. The center-right anti-corruption Home Party is expected to increase its seats thanks to its social media savvy professional candidate who enjoys significant support among the urban middle classes. Besides corruption, which has triggered waves of protests in recent years, major issues for voters include unemployment and inflation in the economy, rocked first by the COVID-19 pandemic and then the fallout from the war in Ukraine. The country's livestock herders were also hit by a burst this year, a combination of extreme cold and drought that killed millions of animals. And that's what we have on the foreign news. And I'll move over to entertainment news.
Welcome to Entertainment News. My name is Riz Blossom Mwe. Here is the report. Controversial blogger Stella Dimiko Kokos makes a shocking revelation, stating that the newlywed actress Sharon Oja is her husband's 4th wife. This came barely hours after the 33-year-old actress tied a knot traditionally with Chief Nwoke, a business tycoon from Imo State. In a post on her blog, Stella disclosed that Sharon's husband, Ugo Nwoke, is a billionaire from Awomama, Oru East, Imo State, and Sharon is the 4th wife. According to the blog, Ugo, who is in his early 50s, has been married 3 times before, all of which ended in divorce. Stella Dimiko detailed that Ugo was previously married to a white woman and 2 black women, and his 3rd marriage, which ended in 2023, produced 3 sons. Despite its past failed marriages, she described the businessman as one with the kindest heart and expressed her praise for the success of his new union with Sharon. Meanwhile, Big Brother Naija former housemate and actress Bisola Ayola has defended her best friend Sharon Oja over shocking claims by a blogger. Reacting to it, Bisola slammed the blog for lies, and she stated that the blogger can dampen Sharon's space. She urged the blog to go pack more lies because on Saturday they're shutting down Abuja again. Social media activist Very Dark Man has vowed never to apologize to businessman Obi Kubana. It was reported that after attending Davido's wedding, VDM had dragged celebrities who attended the event, saying they don't have the level as many of them sneaked into the party. Paulo Okoye has defended his girlfriend Iyabo, and VDM hit back, advising him to stay off his issue with Iyabo, and Paulo hit back, telling Davido and others to choose between them. Taking to his Instagram page last night, VDM shared a screenshot of his chat with blogger Tunde Ednot, who asked him to apologize to the businessman, but he refused. Very Darkman stated that he would rather die than apologize to Obi Kubana. Blowing hot, he stated that anyone who calls him to talk about this would also collect, as he stated that he deserved an apology from them. Very Darkman made it known that he doesn't worship money nor man, but only worships God and his ancestors. Seun Kuti got dragged into Paulo's fight with Very Darkman, and it seems that the singer wants nothing to do with it. He reposted the post where Paul Okoye tagged him and several others, asking them to choose between him and Very Darkman, with the response that he was only trying to promote his music. It isn't news that Seun Kuti and Very Darkman are friends, and they share similar views on controversial topics. Paul Okoye's request to Seun Kuti was to either stop being friends with Very Darkman or lose him as a friend. Seun Kuti's response was quite diplomatic, as he clearly didn't pick anyone's side apart from his music. Paul Okoye's fight with Very Darkman couldn't be foreseen with a long magical lens, because both parties are from two different areas of life. The connecting link between them is Iyabo Ojo, and that is where the issue began. Meanwhile, Nigerian actress Destiny Etiko recently found herself at the center of a social media storm after Kenyans flooded as comment sections with criticism over a post they perceived as mocking their protest against the now withdrawn finance bill. Etiko was quick to address the misunderstanding, clarifying that her post was intended to reflect the situation in Nigeria and not to mock Kenyans. The confusion began when Etiko shared a post that she said she was meant to reflect the resilience of Nigerians amid their struggles. However, many Kenyans interpreted the post as a jab at their ongoing protests against the finance bill, which has seen citizens take to the street in large numbers. Etiko took to social media to clear the air, stating that the post was not originally written by her and that it was meant to applaud Nigerians for their strength and resilience. She emphasized that she was unaware of the protests in Kenya when she shared the post. According to her, although she was pressured to delete the post, she felt it was important to explain her actions to prevent people from thinking she had intentionally posted something to mock Kenyans. Her post is still up. Even after her explanations, many Kenyans continue to express their dissatisfaction in the comment section, wanting Etiko to be more mindful of her post, especially during a time when the country is in turmoil. They threatened to check on her if she did not heed to their warnings, drawing a parallel to their actions against some. Finally, Big Brother Naija star Daniela Peters has reassured the fans of her safety after she survived a kidnapping attempt in Abuja on June 21st. In a video posted on Instagram, the reality star thanked the public for showing concerns for her safety and their prompt response to her SOS. She announced that the cab driver who attempted to kidnap her had been apprehended by the police, who had also confessed to the crime. Recall that on June 21st, she took to Instagram to narrate her deal, describing how she booked a cab and became suspicious of his movements during the trip, and how the cab driver refused to stop the vehicle upon her request. She stated that she eventually had to jump out of the moving vehicle and sustained injuries, which she subsequently had treated. And that'll be all on entertainment news. Thank you for watching. My name is Rose Blossom. Bye for now.
And that's all we have on Galaxy Primetime News. Thank you so much for being a part of the news. My name is Nenwang Yimazaka. Goodbye.